What's going on, everybody? And welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels. And yes, today your boy is pimping in pink. So today we're going to do a little time travel. We're going to go back to the 2000s, a couple decades back. And we're going to go to, personally, my favorite era of comics and media. Is it the best of all time? No, I don't think so. I think that belongs to like the 70s and 80s stories when it comes to comics, but it is my personal favorite. So, just a little recap on why, to me, it's so influential. In the 90s, comics were taking a really big hit as far as film was concerned. Jesus Christ, we had Steel and Batman and Robin, and oh boy, having a flashback. Terrible films. And the comic industry itself was taking some hits financially. So it looked like the things that we may have grown up and loved looked like might have disappeared forever. So drastic changes needed to be made. But one thing that brought things back in the late 90s was Blade. It actually got some mainstream appeal. Wesley Snipes' Blade, the movie, had some mainstream appeal. Comic book fans loved it, and it made money. So people started to look at it a little bit differently, looking at the industry like, oh, maybe there is some money in this. So by the time the 2000s rolled around, a lot of creativity was starting to boom. And I really loved all the creative things happening. Like, when I think of Static Shock, you think of the cartoon, critical acclaim, great show, whole lot of fun. It was amazing, a lot of cool characters, and influenced a lot in the indie comics today. Like myself, I definitely pulled inspiration from Static. One of the greatest animated cartoon shows of all time, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, took things to another level. It wasn't just fun, cool, hip hop stuff. It was like really hardcore, thought-provoking, and a lot of adult themes as well, which of course comes from its predecessors, Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series. So TV was starting to look good. What about the movies? So the first X-Men movie came out, made plenty of money, and of course it wasn't all the colorful and flamboyant and out of this world characters that we're used to seeing, but it was made to get the mainstream appeal, and it succeeded in that. But thanks to the success of that movie, we get the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, which the first two, 1 and 2, are very good films, and thus set the blueprint for all the stuff we have today. All the MCU and the DCEU, you can all thank these films for those opportunities. So now the films are back booming. What about the comics? How are the comics doing? One of my favorite stories of all time, Tower of Babel. I love this story, and I think this is one of the most influential DC stories in the last 15-20 years. It's great seeing the true paranoia of Batman and how he has all these plans to pretty much destroy the Justice League and how it's all put into play. It's really good. Then we have Civil War. The ideas were creative. I personally didn't really like it that much, but the ideas were there, and it set up a lot of stuff for the future and had some pretty successful spin-offs. Some were great, some not. Some of them that were One More Day Spider-Man. Once again, creative ideas, but making deals with Mephisto and undoing the past, it got really messy. But the ideas were there. So I really like thinking about the 2000s era of comics as one of the most creative times for the comic industry, because it had to take a lot of risks to try to save the industry. And so I really love it. And this is, once again, one of my favorites. Earth 2, Justice League, Ultraman, Superwoman, Owlman taking over the world. It's great. It's wonderful. Go check it out. So in the midst of all this greatness befalling us, there was one series that was really under the radar, but really inspired me. That was Sentinel. Now, a lot of folks may not have heard of this run before. It didn't have a long run. It ran for 17 issues between 2 volumes. But personally, this is one of the stories that truly inspired me to write. It truly inspired me to make my own comics. And because of the characters, I love the characters. I loved the artwork. I loved the story was great. I mean, I'm about to gush a little bit. It's a little emotional for me, but it, like, without this storyline, I don't think I would have gotten into the industry. And it really inspired me to do a lot more. Like when me and some of my family members came across this, we were like, "Yo, this is a great run." So just a little background. It was done. The art was done by Udon. They do a lot of American anime, and I think this is the American anime that brought it to my attention. This series brought American anime to my attention, and I loved it. I loved the colors. I loved the characters, the character shades, and everything. It really put it on the map for me. And the writer for this series is Sean McKeever. Now, you all may not know who Sean McKeever is, but he is one of the most influential for me, the most influential writers for me. I think he's underrated. A lot of people, when they think of greatest writers of all time, of course, Frank Miller, Stan Lee, Chuck Dixon. Granted, these are gods, these are legends among men. But I really like Sean McKeever's style of writing. Even with his other runs, like he had a great Birds of Prey run that I really enjoyed too. But I always want to, if he ever sees this, special thanks to him for inspiring me through his writing and stuff, and he's amazing. So now that I've gushed enough, so let's get into Sentinel. I thought that image would be bigger. Let's get into Sentinel a little bit. Now, I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but I just want to do a little touch bases here. So this is the cover of the first issue of Volume 1 Salvage. And just going to give you just a few little bullet points on how the story works and you know, the whole nine. So this is our hero, Justin Seaford. And he's very poor. He lives with his dad and his little brother Chris. And they live and operate out of a junkyard. This is where they live, and this is, you know, how they make a living. And there's a little image of them. They got, you know, family struggles, financial problems, yada yada yada. The whole nine. Like, seems like a really typical family from that time period and that era. But they all love each other. But you know, they get on each other's nerves and they rub each other the wrong way, which is, you know, we all do. We can all relate to that. So, of course, when we have stories like this, we gotta have the two best friends, and they're okay. They're okay. Alex and Matt, they're his best friend. They're Justin's best friends, and you know, they're supportive, but you know, they break his balls. You know, they're boys, and they love hanging out with each other. And they got great love for each other. They support him. It's really cool. It's really cool, their relationship. And of course, in typical 2000s fashion, we got the bullies that, you know, give our hero the hard time just because he's poor or wants to fit in. And, you know, he has a really rough time at it. So we see that he's going through all these things, being poor and having some problems at home. And now he's being, you know, bullied at school. He's at the bottom rung. But then he meets this girl named Jessie, who, in my opinion, is the best supporting character in this series. She's fun, she's cool, she stands up for her friends, she has values, like, she's awesome. I love Jessie. Man, she's great. She's really cool. She's really cool. So as the story goes on, he's developing relationships. You see the development between his friends and with Jessie, and you know, he's the cute girl that he's trying to get after. You know, the usual game. You know, but we learn that Justin, he's a tinkerer, and he works with electronics, works with computers, and all that other stuff. He builds all his own devices. So like one day he builds these things called battle bots with him and his brothers, because they can't afford game systems. So he builds like robots that can fight each other. So one day while they're playing, and one of his friends is over, Alex is over, and the battle bot he just loses control of it completely, and it just goes off into the junkyard, and he's like, whoa, where the devil did it go? What happened? He has no idea where it went. He stops looking, and it's dead into the night. So the next day he tries to find and track down his battle bot deep into the junkyard, and he finds a Sentinel in his junkyard that had summoned the battle bot to help repair itself. And this is where our story begins. Now, I'm going to leave you with this question. If you had a giant, man-killing, earth-destroying Sentinel robot under your control, what would you do with it? And that is exactly what this story is about, and it is completely worth it. The payoffs are great. Ooh, it's so good. It's great. Find a way to get your hands on this. Amazon, eBay, somewhere. I doubt that local comic shops have it, but if you can find a way to get your hands on this puppy, do so. I cannot recommend this series enough, and it's not a long read. It's only 17 issues, which I wish there was more. Sean, Udon, whoever, Marvel, the powers that be. This was produced by Marvel anyway, Sentinels, obviously. Please, if you hear me, give me more Sentinel. Lord, please. Because this series was tremendous. Now, I think it had a couple more cameos. I think in like Avengers Academy series, I think it had a cameo, but I think that's about it. But once the 17 issue run was over, I don't think it got any other stories. I'm pretty sure it's done. But yeah. So that is the premise of Sentinel. Check it out if you can find it. So I hope you all enjoyed the vid. I got a little emotional, a little passionate. Please forgive me, because I mean this series means a lot to me, and I really want everybody to really experience it, because it inspired me to do so much. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching the vid, and also speaking of inspiration, Trouble Rhythm Within Part 5 is out now. I would love your support. Helps me keep the lights on up in here. So I definitely would love for you all to check out my comic. That would be tremendous. So thank you all for watching the vid. Like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff that you see up there. And also follow me on all those social media platforms. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you've read Sentinel before, or if you are a fan of it. Let me know. I love to hear your opinion on it. I love to hear that I'm not the only fan still running around talking about this. So once again, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.